Good afternoon. Welcome to the European Marketing Agenda 2025. My name is Ralf Strauss. I do have the pleasure on the one side to be the chairman of the board of the European Marketing Confederation. On the other side, I also do have the pleasure to be your guide and moderator for this afternoon. So a warm welcome to everybody. We are really amazed that we had more than 850 participants who get registered for this webinar this afternoon. Wow. Thank you very much to all of you. Number one, for taking the time. Number two, although it's an honor for us to have so many participants being registered. A warm welcome on that. Two sentences about EMC. The European Marketing Confederation is consisting of the national marketing associations of, meanwhile, I guess 13 or 14 countries across Europe, consisting of something like 100,000 marketing professionals across Europe. So we every year since, I guess, 5-6 years ago, we're conducting the European Marketing Agenda in terms of finding out what are the top trends and topics for the year to come. Before we get started, I would like to give a warm thank you also to Salesforce to be our partner for the European Marketing Agenda, as well as Zoom TV, who are the ladies and gentlemen who makes this webinar this afternoon possible. So, as I said, over the last years, we've been conducting the European Marketing Agenda, each time with something like 8,000 to 10,000 senior executives, CMOs, heads of marketing, heads of digital marketing across Europe. As you can see with the various layouts, we are still on the way to find some sort of corporate ID and layout which we're going to pursue then also for the future. The interesting thing is, across Europe, everybody is keen on getting neutral information, the naked truth, and really vivid, hands-on information how to deal with all challenges in sales, marketing, and service. This is one of the major findings right from the start. And at the beginning, I also would like to give a warm welcome to our lovely panelists across Europe. It's Vytautas from Lithuania, Adam from Hungary, John from Austria, and Justin from UK. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining, and thanks also for contributing your perspectives then after a short overview on the European Marketing Agenda. Thanks for your time, and thanks for your passion, basically, for driving marketing also across Europe. Thanks, gentlemen. A short agenda for this afternoon. So short welcome introduction from my side. Then I will take something like 25 minutes or so for the presentation of the European Marketing Agenda. You can download the European Marketing Agenda. I guess it's 26 pages long with all detailed results, either from the websites of your national marketing associations or under emc.be, the website of the European Marketing Confederation. Also the results are available for downloads there. So after short presentation from my side, I would just turn over to these lovely gentlemen in terms of really data-driven AI revolution meets brand management. So how do you deal with it? How do you tackle the challenges? It's always, all the different topics are combined with an and. So it's customer experience management and AI, and getting MarTech, and getting CRM, and. So basically having a discussion in different industry scenarios, fast-moving consumer goods, services industries, or retail. How do you deal with those topics? And then on something like 4:30, we're trying to do the closing. As said, European Marketing Agenda 2025, we asked something like 10,000 senior executives across Europe on a whole bunch of different topics. How do you deal with AI? What are you doing with AI? How experienced you are in terms of using AI? How do you manage brand management and combine it with digital? How do you harmonize sales and marketing? So do you have something like an end-to-end process? And how do you deal with training and education? Everybody's screaming for, we need more skills and competencies. So are you really doing something on it? Or is it just lipstick on a pig? Because yes, you scream for skills and competencies, but you're not doing something on it. So all in all, out of the 10,000 people we asked, almost 1,700 completed answers we got back. And I would like to give you some sort of flavor out of the outcome out of these 1,700 answers. First of all, we asked them, what is the overall strategic focus in 2025? So top of the pops is AI. So we need to do something on AI. So brand management, customer experience management, implementation, MarTech, everything has been skipped away. While 2 or 3 years ago, AI was not rated at all. I guess AI 3 years ago got something like 1% of people across Europe said AI is important for them. And now it's jumping within 2 years on place number 1. And it goes hand in hand with increased focus on digitalization. Plus, we always need to combine it. It's AI, it's performance management, it's sales-driven marketing, but also we still need to manage the implementation of MarTech. So still focusing on digitalization. As I said at the beginning, it's always combined with an and. Yes, there is one topic at the top, which is driven pretty often by board initiatives, but still the other topics are still important as well. How it develops over the last years. So if I look through the European marketing agenda since 2023, we had pretty often digital marketing in place, customer experience management. In 2024, once out of nothing, then brand management and reach got to the first place, hand in hand with marketing operations. And now, as I said, everything goes into AI. So digital marketing, digitalization, and MarTech pretty much have been skipped away from the first place by AI. And the question is then, how do I make AI really work? Getting away from PowerPoint and really making it in an operational sense. But we're going to come back to that then later. In a nutshell, welcome to the world of and. It's AI, it's customer experience, it's digitalization, it's sustainability, it's CRM, it's MarTech, it's skills and competency, it's training, and. So it's not an or combination, but what we see across Europe is really and. We need to do all of these things. And the question is, the pressure on the organization increases. You need to combine the different world of different things in your organization. And the top level requires also marketing operations from planning and steering down to the customer journey. So yes, it's AI, it's strategy, it's brand management, but don't forget also to manage the machinery room. When we had some interviews on top of the European marketing agenda, we always ask, okay, you have some strategic focus. Yeah, I completely understand that. But how do you combine the strategic focus then, which you just said, with the operations? So the funny thing is, at least from my perspective, after having worked 20 years in corporate organizations, everybody likes to talk about strategy, but when it comes to the machinery room, everybody says, oh, now it gets nasty. And nobody wants to do really the operational task. But it's still there. And if you compare the different countries across Europe, so picking out Austria, Germany, Netherlands, Hungary, Slovenia, or Switzerland, for example, so they do have different focus areas. In Germany, it's AI. Austria, Hungary, first place is cost reduction and customer experience management. But again, even if there are small and nitty-gritty details and differences between the different countries, still they all have one common theme. And this common theme is, how do I get these different perspectives, different initiatives bundled within one organization? From loyalty and retention programs, innovation, product development, customer-centric strategies, customer experience management, combined with AI. So I guess it's a wonderful time to work in marketing, but still it's a pretty stressy time also to work in marketing to get all these different topics together. One of my earlier colleagues from Audi once said, well, Ralph, see, for the last 20 years, we've done everything on this planet to avoid CRM. And now we get CRM on the table again, plus a whole bunch of different other topics on top. If we ask, then if AI is top of the pops, what in AI is specifically interesting for you? So first of all, it's content management. It's digital asset management, content production, ideation, strategy planning, analysis, creation, something like that. My strong belief is that there will be two paths for the future. One path will be, we will see higher valued application scenarios for AI, everything around a data strategy, everything around data science, marketing analytics. This is one path, and the other path will be everything around agents. I guess the CEO of Microsoft a couple of weeks ago announced that from his perspective in the future, we will just have one backbone, one data layer in the backbone, and then only agents being built on top of that. This would mean that we are not talking about suites anymore and large software applications, but more sort of having a data layer and then agents on top. So the first phase of AI is basically driven by content management, strategy, ideation. But the next phase, I'm pretty sure, will be driven by data science, analytics, and new forms of IT infrastructures. So exciting times ahead. So my mother would have said, darling, have you done your homework? So if all these pieces are coming to our table, are we prepared for that? And this was all one of the questions in the European marketing agenda. Do we have all the different pieces together? Or are we there still on a white piece of paper and all these different topics are hitting us very hard? Have you done your homework? Question number one, do you have a complete customer journey, not inside out? Sometimes I've been working in B2B sales before. Then you have testosterone charged sales colleagues who say, we know our customers, we know the customer journey. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about outside in, data-driven perspectives. Where is the customer really coming in? What are the most important touch points? And what are the needs of the customer on those touch points? Do you know that? Only something like 25% across Europe say, yes, we have a complete picture on the customer journey. Isn't that crazy? We are spending millions and millions on MarTech, on CRM systems, on AI now, but we don't understand really what is the customer journey all about. Since in the essence, all these tools are just enablers for enhancing the customer journey. If you don't understand the customer journey, so why do you then have all these tools? Number two, we need AI. So while you're still in the Stone Ages, more or less, when it comes to data strategy, only 20 to 25% of companies across Europe do have consolidated data and have a data strategy. So we are all screaming for AI, but what is the ground for AI? Since have you consolidated data or not? Plus, also coming back to the customer journey, we have asked also within the European marketing agenda, if we go back in the customer journey. So this is a sample of customer journeys from an insurance company perspective. So it's pretty easy. Everybody understands customer journey mapping and all the details, the different levels, what is needed, what are the actions to be taken, what are pain points from a customer perspective. I guess it's pretty simple to understand. Then we ask also in some of the interviews, so why don't you have something like a customer journey perspective? And the answer was pretty often to say, well, that's nitty-gritty detail. Wow, that's awkward. We need to dive into all these details. But again, if you don't know what is in the customer journey, how can you really properly use MarTech or AI in future? Have you done your homework, darling? Number two, again, 20 to 25% only have a data strategy and have got all their data together. Like it or not, it's around top-down alignment with business priorities. It's managing data governance, business intelligence, having data integration underneath, and databases, the whole data infrastructure. Everybody of you who has once probably in his or her life has done some data strategy or data cleansing knows this is most probably not a career-pushing move, since data strategy normally is very awkward. Since you need to dive into details, you need to align, have a naming convention for your data points and stuff like that. But again, darling, have you done your homework? We need to get our arms around. If the foundation is not properly set up in terms of data foundation, then how can you build anything on top? It's just questionable. In English, I guess you would say garbage in, garbage out. This will still be prevalent also for the future. And the next genie in a bottle is around the corner. As I said already, there are types of agents in AI coming across. So simple reactive agents, learning agents who learn out of reinforcement learning out of the past, or goal-based agents who always try to pursue a certain goal. So there are different ways to get agents being set up. Even if the notion of an agent and AI is not new, with the foundation models and the data models and large language models we now do have in place, now agents really do make sense. And agents will be the future from our perspective, also based on the marketing agenda for the future. But again, darling, have you done your homework? Again, for making a good use of agents and really install them properly in our corporate organizations, we need to do some homework in terms of data cleansing and get more understanding of the customer journey in terms of where does it make sense, where do we get the most benefit out of using agents than for us. And the agents might come around in different scenarios. If it's completely different sets of data, tracking data, healthcare data, emotional data, speech data, having different models, individual models, which might be fine-tuned, if it's audio, it's effectives, if it's diagnostic models, action models, then lift them up on a task level and basically build some sort of agent infrastructure or human-machine interactions in the future. Again, to make the point clear, the foundation all for using agents in different application scenarios, again, is data. And if the data is not cleaned, then the rest of the foundation will not be able to work in a proper way. So we said, okay, so your focus is artificial intelligence. Cool. So let me understand what are the main challenges when looking at the next coming 12 months in 2025. What is the main pillar and main challenge? So first is lack of an understanding of how AI will change the way we do business. So we are still not yet sure how AI might change the way. I guess with every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, new AI models coming up, it will be hard really to have always a good understanding on that. While the MarTech applications have been growing between 25 to 28% over the last couple of years, AI applications have been growing at a rate between 70 to 80% per year. So more and more software models and software providers are coming up. So it's pretty hard to understand how they change the way we do business, plus to keep our arms around to say, what are all these applications models really doing? And number two, other challenges, as I said before, is distributed customer for gaining a 360-degree view on the customer. The customer is still distributed across the enterprise, and we do not have a consistent customer experience across all touch points. Again, yes, lack of understanding, but still underneath is pretty often is some sort of classical homework stuff, as said before. One of the schizophrenic perspectives from my side is we ask companies also across Europe to say, do you think you need to broaden and enhance skills and competencies? Yes, 98% say, yes, we need to do. Then the question is, do you have something like a granular skills and competency framework, really to say, what are the competency areas we need to fill, and we have some sort of strategic plan for that or dedicated training, yet to specifically fill the competency we need to have? It's only 8%. Wow. Then in some of the interviews we ask people, so what are you doing? You say you need to have broader skills and competency on the one hand side, got it. But if we ask you quite honestly, do you have a skills and competency framework? You say no, and it's also not a strategic priority for you. So what are you doing then? And one of the interviews was pretty open. He said, well, as I cannot give my folks any further raise in terms of salaries, I just give them some sort of incentive. I send them to a fancy conference. I said, yeah, but that's not training. This is just some sort of incentive package, but not filling specifically the needs, skills and competencies which you're looking for. So I guess in English you would phrase it as lipstick on a pig. Everybody's screaming for skills and competencies which need to be trained, but hardly anybody is doing something about it. 8% and only for 2% it's a strategic priority. Wow. wow, we all have plenty of discussions in terms of Europe catching up with the rest of the world, what's happening in China and the US, all on AI. I do think one of the underlying obstacles we need to overcome is this here. We need to focus on which sort of trainings do make sense and which sort of trainings and education programs we need to implement. One question we also ask, since all the studies pretty much say that 85% of projects fail. So I always call it the Rocky Horror Project Show. And the Rocky Horror Project Show continues. It's an overload, that too many projects tackle at the same time, lack of experienced project managers, and lack of or unclear objectives. So the fascinating thing is we have so many things. We need to have more projects, more projects, more projects. But we are overloading our organizations with projects. This was the statement behind. Plus, sometimes, for myself, I implemented, I guess, 3 times in my life, was a project lead for a CRM implementation. You need to have experienced project managers. So people really who do understand, I've been there, I've done it, and I can tell you how best to do it. So in Germany, you would say use and research. So basically you have plenty of people coming to the table, but who've not done it before. So the enthusiasm is good on those projects, but sometimes it doesn't help you. And what I saw over 20 years in corporate organizations, the lack of experience, the lack of know-how is pretty often compensated by the number of PowerPoint pages be generated. So the lower the knowledge you do have, the more PowerPoint charts are being prepared. Very interesting. The more PowerPoint charts you have on your table, the less experience, the less knowledgeable the project lead is. So what we need to do is also think about what are thorough project setups, which really do work, so that you don't end up, again, as one of the guys said, spending 12 million euros on a CRM project, which then failed at the end. Last but not least, we face all the digital divide across Europe between the innovators and the followers. So there are something like 50% of the companies, they are looking into digital AI-driven marketing performance management. Focus on AI and marketing, digitalization, MarTech is keen. So they're looking about lower funnel technology and data-driven. So this is the 50% more or less. The others, something like 1/4 is more traditional marketing and sales organization. It's brand management, it's sales performance, yes, but in doubt, the brands dominates, and the DNA is in traditional marketing and branding, emphasizing management and sales, pretty often also driven by B2B. And all the others are focusing on long-term strategies, focusing on sales, E2G, as well as B2B. So it's strong emphasis on innovation, sustainability, and stuff like that. So you have probably 2 sides of the world. One side is 50%, something like that, is we need to get our arms around digital AI and how to make a data-driven customer engagement on the future. And the other is more sort of saying, we are pretty good and pretty cool still the way we are working, focusing traditional marketing and sales optimization, and particularly in B2B companies. That's it for today. Short overview on the results of the European marketing agenda. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of things to be discussed. So the first thing I would like to stress is, how do you get all these topics working in an organization? I'll look at Adam, Coca-Cola company in Hungary. How do you get all these topics? Customer experience, AI, brand management, KPI tracking, new skills and competencies. How do you, in your organization, how do you get your arms around that?
Thanks a lot for the question, Ralph. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite. I would like to add that I'm not speaking only about Hungary, because though I'm based in Hungary, this is where I sit. I have a Europe level responsibility, since currently I'm part of the European, as we call it, Digital Acceleration Office. It's quite a complex question. And I would like to start with a quote I like a lot from Professor Jonathan Kupolsky from the Northeastern University, who said that digital transformation is not a one and done process with a fixed start and a fixed end date. It's something which is ongoing and it's persistent. So sometimes we have this prevailing notion that if we do all these things right, the component that you have also talked about, which in my opinion are all enablers to digital transformation, somewhere in time there will be a tipping point when we can consider, to your point, Ralph, our homework to be done, and from that point of view, we don't need to deal with it. The less unfortunate news is that it's not like that. So we all need to cater for digital transformation, and it might come at various companies at various pace, but we need to cater for all these disciplines. What I think is important to understand, that talking about digital transformation and AI permeating various layers of the company, we tend to say that it should embrace the complete value chain of the company. And maybe the Coca-Cola company is in a more fortunate position because we are a global company, we are a marketing-driven company, so we can probably cater for these challenges or deal with these challenges a little bit easier versus other companies. But still, we have a very firm digital transformation capability agenda, where we tend to say that it should really embrace the whole enterprise. And when I say enterprise, I'm talking about our end consumers and shoppers, which in our case can be different. I'm also talking about our customers, given that we operate in a franchise system. So it's a little bit specific also in our case. And lastly, and that's the last part of the equation in my point of view, we are also talking about enterprise-wide capability building. So basically our all colleagues and all employees. So we tend to say that AI should really permeate all these different disciplines within the company. It should be across the entire value chain. And then, of course, we shouldn't treat AI as, we shouldn't treat it as an objective. We should be treating it as an enabler to how we are getting to our objectives. So this AI FOMO is, of course, difficult to battle sometimes because you feel like we are missing out, but you need to have all your fundamentals, you need to have all your internal and external priorities very well identified before you start fully enabling AI.
Cool. How do you, John, how do you get, since Adam just said, we are trying to also get all our people on speed, really try to get the knowledge being implemented in the company, in the organization. How do you do it? Adam has the situation of fast-moving consumer goods. You have the situation out of retail. How do you do that? Getting knowledge, skills, and competency really on not just one or two people, but as Adam has been saying, on a broader level, on a broader scale in the organization. How do you do that in retail?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk maybe from a different corporate perspective to Adam. Adam's more in the central driving role of driving the technology, I think it sounds like, for Coca-Cola across the world. I'm sitting in the local market of IKEA Austria, so I'm working with our global organization and hearing about the plans that they're driving in terms of AI, data-driven tools that are coming our way to take advantage of AI. But at the same time, yeah, in the local market, there's also impetus to get on with it and try and test and learn where you can. So in terms of the organization in Austria, we have our 5-year plan, which we're working on, where AI and using technology to get more closer and more meaningful relationships with customers is part of that strategy. But you're right. I mean, what you see, to your study and the results you were showing, a lot of the issues that you see are, have you done your homework in the background? I think is a really great analogy. Do your systems talk to each other? Can you link up data from different systems to draw the right analysis? And a big topic we're finding as well is GDPR and customer data. So we have, as IKEA, lots of first-party data from our IKEA family and IKEA business clubs. But then it's about getting the right permissions to use that data and working with the right T&Cs for customers so that you can then move on to the next stage to really then accelerate how you can have more meaningful interactions with customers as well. Yeah, so there is a big journey ahead, I think, of structuring and being clear on the fundamentals that you need to have in place before you can really use AI to its full extent.
But does it really make sense, Justin, to have something like a 5-year plan? Since I'm a fan of planning, John also said we have some sort of plan for the next 5 years, something which makes complete sense. On the other side, if something like DeepSeek or another technology comes around the corner, you might see the technology as an enabler is far more advanced right now. So basically part of your plans, which you said, well, for the next 5 years might be okay, you can skip away in 2 weeks because there's new technology coming around, which is a good enabler, as Adam has been saying, for enhancing your business processes.
Well, I think that the 5-year plan is more about the aim and the direction. Yeah, so not necessarily then naming specific tools or specific AIs that you want to work with, but it's like having the ambition of saying, okay, how can we tailor communications and recommendations to target segments? How can we understand our customers better so that we can reach them with the right marketing messages at the right time in the brand funnel? Yeah, and it might be today that we do that through Google. It might be DeepMind, or tomorrow. It could be many different tools along the way. Probably next week there'll be something else as well. And I think it's just about testing and learning.
It's a good point from your side, John. It's just, I always say, a fool with a tool is still a fool. Since on the other turn, it's the other way around. That basically it's just an enabler, as Adam has been saying, for reaching your business objectives. But Justin, coming to you, how do you keep clear in mind? Yeah, this is the business objective, and this other thing is just a tool. Yeah, even if we're talking about MarTech and AI, but still it's just a tool for reaching some sort of business objectives, not the other way around.
Well, I think the first thing is to start with the end in mind in terms of what is the business outcome and what is the human outcome, be it the customer experience or employee experience that you're trying to create, and keep reminding yourself, the teams, of that throughout the entire project, and measure against it. As you release and iterate, are you laddering up to achieve those business objectives that you meant to? I think what I found last year, I think Adam used the expression, a lot of people had FOMO with AI. A lot of people had fogey as well, fear of getting in because or concerns around the brand. And it ended up with people just doing AI for the sake of doing AI. The area's matured so much now that it really is, as you highlight, there's going to be new technologies coming, be it CRM, be it AI, be it something else. Is actually, keep a very clear picture of, and like John said, in terms of directionally over the longer period, 3 years, 5 years, what's your business objective, human objective, and then test and measure everything that you do against that.
Absolutely. Yeah, as said, fool with a tool is still a fool. Yeah, basically it's just an enabler. Yeah, keep your business objectives in mind. Alvida just reminds me that to the audience, if you want to ask any questions to the event, please just go to slido.com and enter the code EMC 2025. How do you, Lithuania, without us, I experienced, once I've been in Vilnius, I experienced Lithuania as a vibrant community, really. People are really crazy on getting new things and experiencing new things. So how do you manage projects in Lithuania, the Baltic region, basically, since people are pretty much fond of, aware of all the tools, they're addicted to all these tools, they're pretty open, at least as I have experienced them. What are the challenges to bring those tools into a broader organization from your perspective?
Well, yes, Baltic people are really very keen to go into the technology, right? But as we just discussed, it's about long-term planning, and it's like from the whole holistic company approach, right? So I think that we could distinguish two paradigms considering AI. One paradigm is just start using AI tools, like putting the AI tools on the existing process, which is incorrect maybe, and a temporary solution. And the other is more strategic, is digital transformation, right? Which is long-term planning. So like discussing about this strategic approach, right? So first of all, of course, it's upskilling the teams, right? So this is a super crucial thing. And it's not about going to fancy conferences, bringing some content from there, right? It's basically starting from practical approach like prompt engineering, right? And ending, for instance, with a holistic approach, how AI works, basically how you can connect the dots between the data and the outcome, right? Then, of course, another thing, considering long-term part, it's making sure your data is correct, well-structured, there are no silos, right? Because the most common issue in the organization is that somebody in one of the departments starts doing something, then another department, and in the end of the day, we have silos here, right? So the data is not connected, and it's nearly impossible to develop like 360 customer view, etc., right? Then, of course, defining the high impact areas where AI could benefit the business, because this tool is not about like everybody say, we will implement AI, we can cut the costs in this particular area. It's about problem solving, right? Doing same things and I don't know, 5 times faster, right? And more precise. So like from strategic perspective, if you run those projects, it has to be top down, like coming from top management, sharing the vision, allocating the right resources, and of course, ensuring continuous communication that this is a company, part of company strategy, but not just a tactical step, right? So this is a super important, I would say. And from soft perspective, which I said like it's a tactical. So yeah, so the vision, then comes forming a team of ambassadors or advocates who will promote, right? So this one, you can hire from outside the talents who already know how to do the stuff. If not, of course, you can train internally, but it takes time. So if you take from outside the talents, plus not all the organizations can send people to a fancy executive business schools to learn how to do things, right? So the approach like train the trainer, for instance, if you have an ambitious people that has burning eyes, that has a passion to do that, you can just send few of them and like train the trainer approach, they can do internal courses, webinars, seminars, like workshops, etc. And of course, putting this on agile approach, you can start developing things. But in the end of the day, this is a part of company strategy, not one department strategy, because it won't gonna happen if it's not united across all the departments.
How do you organize it, Tadas? A good point, I love it. But how do you organize it? Since what I'm not trying to do is that everybody just has only headlines in their minds, yeah? To say large language model, or everybody's just talking about fluffy stuff, but they need to understand it, yeah? Get their arms around those topic areas, yeah? So also in terms of knowledge acquisition to get some ground in it, yeah? Since otherwise everybody has some headlines in his or her mind, but if you ask further questions, nobody really understands what you're talking about. Having worked in corporate organizations, pretty often you have a situation that people talk about things which they do not understand, but they are afraid of asking the question. So, automotive, it's dealer management system. What is a dealer management system? Or if you have CRM systems, for example, what do you understand about CRM? Is it service, if it's sales, if it's marketing automation, if it's what the heck ever? So everybody has the same, is using the same phrase, but has completely different understandings. So my point is also in training, it's not that you need to have the headline, but you need to have some sort of more in-depth understanding. What are you talking about? How do you organize it, John, in your organization at IKEA? How do you organize it? Everybody coming in a room has the same understanding on what we are talking about.
I mean, it's a very good question. I think within a local market like Austria, working in a big corporation, there's only so much within your circle of influence, of course, right? Because it is, as the other gentleman was saying, is a top-down process makes the most sense. Yeah, so to have a way of working and accepted systems that you're working in. But I mean, on a local market level, I think it is about deciding on the direction you want to go, the way you want to use AI, what you want to use it for, and then setting up the trainings that can help your people and your organization move in that direction, to put it simply.
Yeah. And how do you avoid, John and Adam, although that sometimes people are probably I'm too old. I've been working too long in corporate organizations that you end up in some sort of dog and pony shows. Yeah. So everybody's trying to next career move, and I'm trying to position myself in AI or CRM or what the heck ever the topic might be. How do you avoid that? Some sort of corporate bullshitting, to be honest with you. Yeah. So that everybody it's working on the topic area, on really the project, but not just to present themselves in a tiny way. How do you do that, Adam?
Sure. I'm not debating that corporate bullshit is a non-existent phenomenon, but joke aside, so I think what's quite important is that organizations like us, or even smaller ones, should have a very clear prioritization framework. And when I say prioritization framework, I give you an example. We need to find the answer to the why, what, and how. And I know it sounds simplistic, but sometimes people don't ask themselves this question. So let me give you a very easy example, starting with the why. Why am I doing this? In our case, because we would want to create more uplifting consumer and shopper experiences. That can be the why we are doing this. Now, if we go on to the what, we can then say that we would like to apply data and technology to be able to create better consumer experiences. That's more the what in my understanding. Finally, we can get on to the how, and then we can say that, okay, but we would like to leverage AI as part of our digital ecosystem to better and faster enable this. So I think we should have this clear prioritization framework. I'm not saying that even within our company, everyone from the category teams, from the digital teams, from the local frontline marketing operations, have the same level of knowledge when they come into this room talking about this. But I think they should be very clear on the why and the what, and probably those specialist department, which we also have in our digital community that we call digital IMX, who are mainly responsible for data, technology, MarTech, first-party data acceleration, and so on, can provide all these solutions. But if we have a same level of identification of the main priorities and what helps us to get there, then I think it's definitely going to accelerate the company going forward. And one more thing, which I think was a very important point, in a more beneficial scenario, let me put it this way, it should be a combination of top-down and bottom-up. So the prioritization framework, to your point, Ralph, should come from the top down, but it definitely helps if we have human AI ambassadors or AI agents within the company who simply share their knowledge in terms of what can AI help us with. Just to give you once again a very similar example, and I'll pass the baton. One of our colleagues decided to produce skill pills at his own initiative within our company, which are very scrappy, short, to the point, 1-minute videos explaining the easy leveraging of AI. For instance, that if you're taking notes on sticky notes, if you take a picture, if you upload to AI, it will simply, digitize those notes for you. 80% of our community was not aware of this very simplistic capability of AI. So this is just one very easy example of also trusting our AI champions so that they can also spread the knowledge within the organization. And it all needs to be aligned with, of course, the top line prioritization scheme, which I have explained at the beginning.
Isn't that then a wonderful point, Adam? Isn't that just in your service provider company, basically? Isn't that all the question of corporate culture? I need to be open and not shy and not intimidated in terms of also saying, I have an issue here, I don't understand what you're saying. Yeah, be open and have some sort of corporate culture which allows learning, where you can openly address all those things which honestly I don't understand. How do you manage it in a service organization, Justin? Since it's jumping out of your shadow to say, hey guys, I'm out, I don't understand it anymore.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, within IBM iX, I lead the digital agency within IBM in the UK. There's a few different things in terms of this point. One, in terms of education, we provide, education on a number of topics, including AI, throughout the organization. And actually, we've opened it up so that our clients and other organizations can access it. I've just shared a link. Second is, learning by doing. And we are actually transforming how we do consulting. Consulting is going to be an industry that's tremendously impacted by AI and disrupted by AI. And we see the future being asset-powered consulting. So we've got 150,000 consultants globally. We see the future being 150,000 human workers supported by 1.5 digital assistants and agents. So we've created something called IBM Consulting Advantage, which is where we have all of our AI assistants and agents, similar to ChatGPT, but one that we formed on our own technologies, so that actually our consultants every day have access to AI that can help them learn. If you sometimes feel stupid, to your point, in terms of admitting you don't know something to other humans. If you've got an AI that can help you, that's a good starting point. And we use these AI agents from everything from when we're responding to a client proposal, actually to simulate what our client wants and needs, so that we can test a proposal against it, test whether it aligns to their business strategy, all before we've met our client. Then we've got various other different agents, from building code to helping with design to running projects, all within our AI assistant. So this second thread is around providing tools that can help people learn by doing. And the third thing is your point around setting a corporate environment where people feel free to ask anything and can be vulnerable. And, like anyone that's been successful in life, you go through a lot of hardship and failures, and having an environment where people can talk about those hard times and the failures, or can be vulnerable and say they don't understand the topic, is important. And that culture is, something that we cherish, and, we create environments where people can talk in that manner.
Yeah. But I do think a wonderful point, Justin. But I do think still people need to understand what's happening in the background. Since if I look back in my corporate history, once people came up, when I was a CMO, people came to my office and said, "Well, with 67% of your budget, you can reach the same objectives." And how did you calculate that? Well, via multiple variate regression analysis. So then I asked them about these boundaries and the guidelines for this sort of data science tools. They had no freaking idea on it. And it's garbage in, garbage out. They've just been using a tool, an analytical tool, and something came out. Yeah, but they couldn't. So the question is always: are you just good at prompting, or do you understand what's coming out? Yeah, do you really still get your arms around what's happening there? Without us, how do you manage that? That people really have the right understanding. Since I do think knowledge is at the heart of everything. Either I'm good in prompting, I have no freaking idea what you're doing, but I'm good in prompting, or do I need to get my arms and my heart around? How do you do that without us?
Yeah, I totally support the idea learning by doing. So in some of the companies, there are no internal continuous courses where you can get knowledge for this. So the push from upper level, like top management, I think this is key here, and support, because a lot of people, especially in the middle management, they are afraid of making mistakes, right? So the support from senior management to implement those solutions is super crucial here. So trust and support, I would say this is the key.
I do think over the last years, we had bunches of discussions about learning organizations, failure culture, and stuff like that. I'm not sure how it's in your companies, but in all the companies I see, or I've been able to see over the last couple of years, everybody has on fancy PowerPoint charts, it's failure culture and learning by doing and learning cycle, organization learning. And if you ask them what's behind, would you allow your colleagues really to do failures? Yes, not really. Yeah, not really. So it's PowerPoint is good, but really without us, how do you get an organization really living in mistakes and talk openly to say, I messed it up?
Yeah, so unless this is a data leak or something, so it's quite safe, right? So allocating the particular amount of funds for testing and for piloting, like if we consider marketing budget, right? So setting the right amount of money on an annual basis for testing, for new pilot projects, etc. That works actually. So you have a reserve for that, the playground area where you can just test new activities to do that.
Let me go back, if you allow, for the thing we had earlier. Since I guess all across Europe, we're spending millions and billions on MarTech and tools and stuff like that. But still, only 20-25% of companies have aggregated data. So why are we doing this? Yeah? And John, if I look at IKEA, do you go, before we buy any fancy new tool, guys, we first need to clean up all our data, or do you say, well, we should do it both in parallel? How do you manage that?
Well, it's both, of course. I mean, without the data, you can't use the tool. So that's definitely a first step that you need to go through, is to understand what data you need and how you want to structure it, and which data sources you need for your project. But of course, like Adam was saying as well, being clear on what the goal is that you're trying to reach in the first place. But I think a challenge that we're seeing more and more is, to your point as well, Ralph, that there's more and more that we have to cover, more ground that we have to cover as well. And organizations are also getting leaner at the same time. So in a few of the countries that you were showing with the priorities, you could see cross-cutting at the top. So leaner organizations also don't help with this testing and trying, because everyone's trying to cover all the tasks that they have. So I think it is you have to consciously decide where to put your resources, and which things are going to generate the highest growth going forward as well. And I'm sure AI is definitely top of the list here, but it's you need to make sure that you put the right resources on it. Otherwise, it risks not going anywhere.
If you would start, we also had a discussion before on projects. I guess all the studies pretty much say that AI projects, as well as the old CRM projects, 80-85% of those projects fail miserably, sometimes burning 10, 12, 15, 20 million or so. Yeah. So huge failures pretty often. This is the case. What is your secret ingredient, Adam, to make a project successful? This is one of the most senior project managers. If it's stakeholder involvement at the beginning, or is it clear expectation management? So what is it in terms of making a project successful?
Well, talking about secret ingredients, probably I'm the right person to talk to. But joke aside, let me jump back to your previous question about this learning culture and ability to fail topic, and then I'll connect that to this question. So my understanding is it's always a problem if there is an unsync between PowerPoint and reality. It's not only digital transformation or AR specific. I think generally speaking, that's a problem. And when we are talking about, test and learn agenda or agile mindset or learning mindset, I usually tend to say that we are not trying to suggest that we should create a failing culture, but we are trying to suggest that on the one hand, we should have a very clear innovation pipeline, clear and prioritized, filtered innovation pipeline. And we should have the ability for a certain level of tolerance, which might create version 1, version 2, or even version 3 of the same prototype or proof of concept once we have a clear prioritization. So to your question, I don't think that we have a holy grail, nor we have a secret ingredient with regards to this point, but we always have a very clear long-range plan. We tend to call it RLP. We have strategized or prioritized initiative that the whole network organization is internalizing. And based on that, we create our business plan with clear priorities. And we are trying to bring the enablers or the levers, talking about technology, data, CRM, MarTech, whatsoever, So basically the investment decisions we need to make so that we can support this pipeline of prioritized initiatives. So I think once you have that, it will be easier to make a decision on your technological investments, how fast AI can really boil down to the bottom of your value chain. What are the divisions within the company that you first need to better digitize technically, infrastructurally, and knowledge-wise to accelerate you? So all these decisions will come from a clear innovation pipeline and what are the priority initiatives that you would want to move forward. All the rest I can call just the levers. Unless you have it clear, you're not going to be moving the needle.
No, but Adam, still, if I do the prioritization in the right way, as you say, still I need to get all these things on the street. I need to get it operationalized, realized, really. And we told us how are we setting up projects. So from my perspective, since I was a project lead 3 times for CRM, sometimes you need some senior guy who's done it before, and at least looking for CRM, who also has the authority to say no. You have normally in a corporate environment, you have thousands of people who are saying, well, we can't add this and this and this and more requirements and stuff like that. But sometimes you need somebody just to say no. Well, what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, so it depends on the scope of the project and complexity. So if we have, for instance, necessary skills internally in the company, so that's one, okay. But if we're implementing, for instance, new CRM or new whatever loyalty program, etc., and we do not have a skill sets in the company or even in the market, so usually, like creating the whole scope of the project, will bring external consultants who could guide us, right? So first of all, of course, this is the objective, that what is the problem we want to solve, right? So it's based on the scoring, right? So what is the outcome? Is it a more effective process? Is it a cost-saving thing, or top of the funnel, like revenues, etc., right? So like how to guide it, of course, if you have a buy-in from a supervisory board or board members, etc., then you have the right resources, the team, and of course, if you do not have right skills in the place, you can ask for external support.
So we go back then to the skill level and basically training the education of the staff itself. There's a good question also in the chat, which I would like to pick out. Everybody is screaming about AI. Isn't that too much? And coming back to what you guys said, are we not missing the point? AI, or whichever tool, if CRM or what the heck ever, is just an enabler. So just in your projects, am I not missing the point? Yeah, I don't care about AI. I'm just looking for a tool which enables me to do something better, more efficient, more effective than before. That's all. Call it AI, call it CRM, call it.
Yeah, I think the first is recognizing AI isn't a silver bullet. Just like you're saying, the tools and fools. It's not just, okay, I buy some AI or I implement some AI and that's the answer. Actually, a lot of clients have realized that they need to go back to the fundamentals of, do they understand their customers, how they want to build their brand, how they want to engage with them, sell to them, back to the real basics of marketing. Secondly, often they're realizing that to get the most from AI, you need to solve the fundamentals. And that's, simplifying your technology landscape. They've bought several different DAMs or CRMs. Actually, how do you consolidate that down to one? How do you fix the data before actually then applying AI, get the basics right? And then again, lastly, when using AI, not just to tag AI onto what you've got already, but rethink processes and the ways of making things work with AI first, as opposed to just, having an existing process that's clunky and trying to put AI on one part of it. Reimagine the entire process or customer journey with AI infused from the start, if once you do get to that point.
Yeah. If you have a shitty process, then you have an AI-enabled shitty process, yeah?
There you go.
And it doesn't solve the problem. But isn't that difficult in a company really to say everybody's screaming for AI? Do some fancy stuff. Your board member comes to your table and say, we need to do something with AI. All my colleagues and other companies tell me, and they're all doing fancy stuff with AI. So what are we doing? Tell me, John. So why are we not front runner with AI? So how do you really can ground everything to say, darling, relax, okay, take a deep, calm breath. First of all, as you say, Justin, let's clean up data, let's do our customer journey analysis, and then since it's just a tool, how do you do that, John, for example, at the IKEA, where everybody's screaming for AI and retailers going dramatic changes? John, do something now.
Yes, of course. No, I mean, it's I guess, you know, the worry is that you're gonna miss out, right? That's, you know, what understanding always why you're being asked what you're to do. Being asked to do is important, I guess. And it's probably a bit like 100 years ago when they invented the plane and you could get to New York from the UK in a few hours versus a few days, right? And if you were the company still using the ship instead of the plane, you would get left behind. And I think this is probably where we are now with AI. It's about accelerating processes and probably at the end of the day being able to do even more in a few years than we can do now, like with every significant technology change. But at the same time, I think it's you need to do your homework, right? There's no point promising outcomes when you can't deliver on them. So I think it's really important to go back to having a thorough understanding of have I got everything I need to ensure that the outcome we desire is actually going to work, and then test and try and see if you are on the right track.
Well, let me probably turn the question around. I guess in the European marketing agenda, we researched and said, well, what are the focus topics for 2025? So there's an excellent question in the chat to say, what are the 2 or 3 main things every head of marketing CMO should avoid to do in 2025? So what should you take away from your table, John? What is it where you say, I will not do that, whatever it is? Not the fancy stuff, not AI, but the things where I really say, no.
I think it's a good question. I think maybe turning it around again is focusing on the things that you actually do need. You know, have I got enough budget to be as visible as I need to be, and do I have enough budget to test new technologies like AI? Do I have the right skill set in my team? Do I need to where are the gaps? Where do I need to focus on educating people to be able to deliver on what we need to deliver? And making sure that you have the basics in place, you know, that you're working on gathering enough data, and that the data that you are gathering is in the right format that you can then use to test new technologies such as AI. I think it's more about being clear on what you want rather than what you should stop doing.
Without us.
Yeah, I would just add that maybe the suggestion would be, so don't adopt AI just to follow the trend, because it will be a very expensive experience, right? So if you have a serious challenge problem that AI can solve, you should consider doing this, but just don't follow the trend itself. So this is super important.
Absolutely, fully agreed. The question was also for us, also coming back to them, what are the skills I need to embrace as a head of marketing for myself? So how deep should I get involved in AI? Should I understand large language models? Which sort of skills do I need to have? Is it more sort of classical leadership skills, or should I also make some sort of deep dives in terms of getting my arms around those topics from your perspective?
I think the biggest mistake we can commit for the year going forward is that we expect AI to solve the problems that we used to have on the table before we had AI. I think AI, sorry. So that's the main difference. So I think, once again, I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, but I always come back to this. You really need to decide which part of your organization or which capabilities of your organization can AI best support with. So if you need AI for better personalization of your content, because you would want to create more compelling consumer experiences, let's bring in AI to further personalize and multiply your content. If you would want to have better or more precise targeting when it comes to audience planning or reaching your audience segments, let's try to bring in AI to help you with this. So these are just, two easy examples you need to be clear about. And then I think you need to have a staggered roadmap because you cannot swallow it all. If you are asking me what level of knowledge I need in the field of AI to be able to make these decisions, it doesn't really mean that I have to be an AI nerd, but I need to be equipped with the knowledge to be able to decide which internal functions, capabilities, or enablers I would want to upgrade with AI, because without that simple knowledge, I wouldn't be able to understand the notion why AI is good for me, where is it going to help, where is it going to create value, how will this make me more consumer-oriented or consumer-centered, and so on. So this is the knowledge that I should be having. And of course, those colleagues who are really hands-on with the AI developments, and we are not only talking about generative AI, of course, but the ecosystem of AI should have a much more refined technological knowledge, which probably I myself don't need to have. But actually, nothing really stops me from also picking up those skills, as I referred to them before, better than a couple of years before.
No. Vytautas?
Yeah, I would just add to Adam, few skills that are quite obvious, but it's super important in this context. So first, of course, is cross-functional leadership and collaboration, right? Because marketing is not only about marketing guys, it's about IT, sales, basically all business verticals in the company. So this cross-collaboration becomes super important. And another skill, in this case, it's creative storytelling, right? Because you have to sell stuff to supervisor board, the board as well, so you cannot be too technical. You have to understand the data, how to interpret it, and of course do the storytelling. So these are more like a soft skills, but they matter a lot.
The question is from my side, coming to you, Adam, and to you, Vytautas, isn't that first of all, as a leader, I need to understand which level are we talking about. Are we talking about business strategy? Are we talking about processes? Are we talking about applications? Are we talking about data layer? Yeah. So in terms of, so just to understand which sort of level are we talking about. Otherwise, I'm mixing up everything. So this is one thing I need to know. The other thing, as you say, Adam, probably I need to know, at least I have some sort of understanding what a large language model is. Do I need to understand in detail? Absolutely not. No. How does it work? A vector database or something like that? I don't think so. But at least you need to have some sort of understanding. Are we not talking about data or application or business strategy or processes? Where are we?
Yes, and I would add what you also need to understand probably as a last component is how much you outsource to agency partners, for instance, or how much you are internalizing and keeping in-house. This decision was always there, of course, talking about biddable media, programmatic, CDPs, and so on. It was always a question, at least from the client side or the advertiser side, whether you keep these disciplines in-house or you go for the hybrid model or you fully outsource to your agency partners. You also need to make a decision on your operating model, right? How much you outsource these expertise, which then you yourself probably won't need to build out, but then you are losing that know-how, or how much you are bringing in, start building the capability, the infrastructure, the tech and the data stack behind, which is of course a little bit more expensive game when you think about investment and route to market.
I also do think, building upon what you said, is even if you outsource the execution of those functions, the brain for guiding external partners still needs to be in your corporation. So it needs to be still in. So sometimes I have the feeling that people are just outsourcing things and it's completely gone. Yeah, and they don't have the capabilities anymore also to steer those external partners. How do you do that, Vytautas? Which sort of insourcing versus outsourcing is your preferred model?
I would say the most critical functions It depends, of course, on the project, actually. So if you do not have a particular skills, as I mentioned previously, so you're gonna outsource for sure. So it's sometimes it's very expensive to hire particular niche specialists internally because of the very narrow or short-term project. Short-term, I mean 1 year, etc. Right? So then you, of course, you go outsourcing. But the main question is there anyone in organization who can manage outsourced resource, right? Because like if it's time and material, so it could cost you a lot if you do not have to manage this. So yeah.
I completely agreed. I'm on purpose, Justin, I'm not asking you the question on outsourcing. I do think your answer is some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, or?
Well, I can understand why you say that. And yes, you know, a lot of clients outsource their work to IBM and other providers. What we help a lot of clients with, though, is building up internal capability. So helping them develop skills or develop ways of working so that actually they can become self-sufficient and better on themselves. So there's a midway point as well. You can still get external help to build internal capability.
Absolutely, absolutely. But still, it doesn't free you up in terms of building the capabilities internally to have a sensible conversation also with your external outsourcing partner. Since what I've seen in many corporate organizations is everything is outsourced, the entire brain is outsourced, and then at some point in time, then the company gets nervous or gets frustrated with the outsourcing partner or what the heck ever, and they do understand I'm not in control anymore, since my entire brain is somewhere outside and I'm not able to steer the process or have a sensible interactions and with my outsourcing partner. I'm looking at the clock, and I'm trying to pick up another question from the chat. What important skills do you think are necessary in order to become a successful marketer? So I'm not talking about the leadership position, but today, isn't there still the classical brand management, digital and stuff like that? Or you say, I don't care anymore, Justin. If you hire people, I don't care anymore about your education. It's just if you have a hat on your shoulders and you're good and straightforward in thinking, and whichever sort of education you have, let's just get started. It's more sort of, as Steve Jobs said, I'm not hiring you for education and skills, but more sort of for your way you're behaving and your attitude. What is it what you're looking for then?
Yeah, so I think the CMOs now and marketers are almost needing to have multiple different hats. Not only do they need to lead on marketing, but they need, like we've been talking about, they need to be technically minded. So they need to be more like a CTO. They need to, ground everything that they do in business value. So they need to be like a CFO, think like a CFO, a CEO. They need to make decisions on what they keep in-house versus outsource. So, they need to think like a chief procurement officer. So I do see, marketers needing to wear different hats. I think, the most important for me, though, would be the human skills, understanding customers and understanding the employees within their team and how they can inspire them to be adaptable to changing market conditions, changing technology conditions, how they can inspire them to achieve the business outcomes that we were talking about before, how we can how they can inspire them to adapt their ways of working. And we've seen that